Hi guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing all good today. We've got a bit of duck on duck violence. I'm going to be, of course, a rubber duck of war, leading the High Elves, and we do, for our opponent as well, over here, have the Lizardmen. So this should be a very good fight indeed. Now for our front line, we have gone for White Lions of Chase. These guys are pretty damn decent. They do decent work against Saurus Warriors, obviously can beat down Skinks. They're just a little bit more tanky than the Spearmen. I mean, the Spearmen have better defense stats, but they just don't do any damage to Saurus. The Saurus really munch for him. So I thought I'd go for a little bit of punch in the front line. And the secondary line, I do have 2 units of archers. These guys are there just to try and take out any skink skirmishers and help poke down big monsters, much like these Colossodon hunters over here, which don't have the best armor. And the back line, we do have 2 units of Swordsmasters. This is in case my opponent went heavy with the Temple Guard or super heavy with Saurus, and these guys can really help mulch through them. If they're great swords, great armor piercing, decent unit overall. They also have a really fun ability called Deflect Shots, where they're such good swordsmen they can actually cut arrows out of the air. So it gives them a little bit of missile resistance, which is pretty cool. Now on the right hand flank, we do have a little bit of a cav kind of section to our force here. We've got a unit of Silver Helms, which your standard kind of shot cav, pretty decent, but not the best overall. And also Tyrion, who's going to be leading our forces today, up here on his horse, his flaming sword with all his standard buffs, is going to be super good overall. So he's obviously got Sunfang for that magical damage, Faint in Repose, and yeah, Standing Ground, all the kind of standard stuff, including the Heart of Avalon, which is a super good burst of life-saving hit points there. Now we do also have a Mage of Life over here with all the healing spells. Plus, I do believe, yep, here we go, Shield of Thorns as well. And we have a big moon dragon up in the sky today. This guy's been very beastly, getting in there, doing a decent amount of work, and hopefully being able to, tank some dinosaurs. Also, the healing's obviously going to be very effective on him if we can keep him alive, and on the field. Now for my opponent today, he has gone for a fairly kind of squishy front line with 3 units of skink cohorts with javelins, 1 unit of red-crested skinks in the back, some chameleon skinks, but he also does have a unit of temple guards, to hold that front line and add a little bit of kind of eliteness to these little skink fellows who would do a decent job. Their little spears, they'll be poison and whatnot, but they're not the toughest of little fellows. Now up in the sky, he does have the Colossodon hunters, which are the regiment-renowned Ripidactyls. These guys are super scary. They're one of the best anti-large units in the game. They will always take a little bit of damage back, but they have some crazy stats, especially when they pop the Toad Rage, which will make them rampage heather, plus 40% weapon damage and armor pierce is crazy. These guys can do some serious work. He also does have a Skink Priest of Heavens up in the sky. Let's have a little look. He does have Curse of Midnight Wind, nice little debuff. Wind Blast, which can be super good against High Elves, because High Elves going to be like tightly packed formations, so can do a decent amount of damage there. And Harmonic Convergence, so we'll see how he gets on. And he also has his own little cav section, much like myself, but he's on a lot more elite. 2 units of Horned Ones, which I just love this unit. Apart from the fact they look incredibly awesome, just having this, super elite kind of special unit of the Cold Ones, really. They're just kind of like the level up. It's just really badass and cool. He's also gone for the Red Crested Skink Chief on a Horned One. Now this guy has so many cool mounts, so many cool fighting styles. I saw him foot the other day as well, and he's so many cool animations, you just never see them because he's always put on top of his Stegodon. So it's nice seeing a bit of variety here. And also, one last thing before I forget, he does in fact have the Feral Bastillon here, who's just going to be a bit of a beast. He'll be able to break for the front line and get on the archers and just harass them. And also the Ancient Salamander. So let's see how this goes, and let's get it underway. So both of us are just going to be kind of repositioned, obviously to start with, moving towards each other. I was contemplating going into the woods, try and nullify some of these Horned One riders and whatnot, but I ended up kind of pushing out a little bit more open just because I wanted to get my Moon Dragon into action. Now he's a bit of a scary time here. He's actually going to really struggle up against the Colossodon hunters. They should do a great amount of damage back. I think he'd be able to take them in a one-on-one fight, but take a huge amount in return. And these Horned Ones as well, of course, are also very good armor-piercing units as well. Great for taking down dragons and so forth. So the first few salvos of arrows are being loosened here by these archers. I thought I would just try and weaken the skinks down. They're fairly squishy. Yes, they do have shields, but it's nice to make them as squishy as possible. We do have the first shot coming in from Ancient Salamander, which has of course been nerfed for a little while now. Great bit of disruption, but overall not too much damage. Looks like we did decide to fly the Moon Dragon over to the left-hand side, seeing this big horrible blob coming in. He does not want to get involved. However, that is going to leave these white lines a bit, vulnerable here to kind of getting run over. Does, however, drop a big breath attack coming into temp guard with pretty okay contact. Realistically, you want to be on the side of them to get the best, but it does a decent amount of damage nonetheless. It looks like the Possible Hunters are thinking of taking the fight against the Moondragon, and I don't really have too much choice here but to take the fight. I'm supporting with some Archer Plate and hope that I'll be able to pop some hills off. Now, as you can see, my flank didn't actually break too bad. White Lions did take some damage, but they got the Shield of Thorns popped down on them. They've been able to tank it a bit, and it does look like Tyrion dropped a big Sun Fang coming down, just shredding this skink cohort here. However, he's in a bit of a fight of his life here. He's popped in on a little general fight, but the Red Crest Skink Chief has popped Warrior Crest and Potion of Strength, making him a really solid combatant. However, Tyrion has popped all his buffs on his own. The kind of worrying section for me here, though, is these Horned Ones are so much more elite than these Silver Helms. And another unit does come crashing in, so they're going to be doing some serious damage here. A little bit sketchy. We are going to be trying to get some Swordmasters over to help, but they are intercepted here by the Red Crested Skink, so great play by my opponent. And disaster up in the skies. You see, the dragon has actually been broken off. These Possible Hunters did pop their Toad Rage, and just did a huge amount of damage. I did manage to get a regrowth off, but just a little bit too little too late. And I think it was a Harmonic Convergence that went down as well, which really swung this in their favour, and that is disaster. This Moondragon is just going to be chased off the field there, the regrowth coming far too late. And it looks like we do have Bastildon kind of trampling around the back line, so Finn's not looking great for the High Elves at the moment. However, we do have pocket of strength here. These Swordmasters are easily going to cleave these Red Crested Skinks apart. It looks like we did crump that left flank, and we have managed to get into the back line with our White Lions. Hopping on top of this Ancient Salamander, who's a decent combatant, but he is a little bit squishy as well. Now, in this front line, Tyrion is barely clinging on. He's been fighting the whole time up against the Red Crested Skink Chief, and these Horned Ones with Temple Guard have come piling in as well. It's a bit of a struggle. The Swordmasters have popped into the back of the Temple Guard, really trying to break those guys off, and just allow Tyrion here the free reign to beat down this Red Crested Skink Chief. He's been fighting so long, he's down to pop all his buffs again. So we see a Harmonic Convergence, Opal Amulet, Foe Seeker. He's a really tough nut to crack. And a great Wind Blast by my opponent. It doesn't look like it was the Overcast version, however, it did do a great amount of damage to those two units of Swordmasters, and with that, Tyrion does start to break off and run. So Finns are starting to look very bleak now. We have some archers who are just absolutely legging it constantly, trying to distract this feral Bastildon. I knew they were going to die if they stayed and fight, so I'm just kind of running him as far away from the battlefield as possible. But there are a few things going good for us. We have got shut down this Ancient Salamander. We do have two fairly healthy units of Swordmasters, however they are breaking, but we should be able to, bring them back. Archers are back online here, however it looks like they're about to be shut down. And we have a small pocket of strength over here. Tyrion has rallied. We are of course going to be healing him with the mage as well. And it looks like the Red Crested Skink Chief did really desperately try and chase down Tyrion. However, he has been picked off in return and isolated, and he does in fact rout and start to run from the might of Tyrion, who has got himself in a bit of a pickle in return though from these Horned Ones. And Temple Guard are really kind of holding my opponent's army together here. As you can see, most of the Skinks are kind of beat off and running for the hills or really beaten up, so they're not much threat at all. But Tyrion, I'm desperately trying to escape him from this kind of nasty fight I'm stuck in, but I just can't escape these Horned Ones. They've been really good unit for him overall this game, including the Ripidactyls. I think those two are kind of the MVPs so far. But it looks like the mage is going to be able to hunt down this Red Crested Skink Chief. Now, he should be poking him from behind, like smacking him with a staff, and in fact bringing him down and killing him. That the power balance is still in my opponent's favour, but it's looking a little bit more bright, possibly, if I can get these White Lions back, Swordmasters back in a big blob and actually heal them with a big heal from the mage. Maybe there's something in this for me, but it is looking a little bit bleak with Tyrion, who has started to rout once again. Now at this point, we're just trying to unite Tyrion and the mage together, just to form a tiny bit of a kind of little pocket of power before getting back to, this desperate front line. It looks like these Swordmasters might finally be able to get rid of these Temple Guard. And I mean, these, Skinks, they're not going to hold up to, White Lions or Swordmasters at all. So I've actually kind of pretty much won the infantry fight, which is looking very good. But it's just, as we can see, this Possible Hunters who have picked on Tyrion, desperately trying to drop a Sun Fan, some desperate attempts, do some damage back. But he has been killed, and with that, it is looking very, very bleak now. These Horned Ones are also going to be causing a big problem for me. But the Skinks, they're not going to do anything, and it looks like these very healthy unit of White Lions has kind of been dragged away from the fight, unfortunately, by this Ancient Salamander trying to chase him down and finish him off. But it looks like that is the army losses, and that is game, and you can see the huge amount of bodies down here on the floor. Let's go to the end stats. Yes, of course, that was a bit of duck-on-duck violence against the walking duck. They're very well played to him. Really liked his build, actually. I hadn't seen the red-crested skink chief on the horned one before, so rolling that with the horned ones, who I'm a big fan of, it's actually a really cool, build. So it worked really well. Now, I myself actually quite struggle coming up against Lizardmen. So if any of you guys want to, do any suggestions of hard counters or different army builds that you found that you think work really well against Lizardmen, let me down down in the description below. Share knowledge with me and the rest of the community. Unless there's a really secret build you don't want anyone using on you when you do rock the dinos. But overall, I pretty much liked Miami quite well. I mean, the front line performed fairly decently. It easily kind of crunched down these skinks and did eventually bring down these Temple Guard. There just wasn't enough anti-large to really kind of pin down those horned ones, who kind of run rampant a bit down on the flanks and really helped pin in Tyrion, which then in turn obviously aided the red-crested skink chief to try and beat him down, when of course Tyrion is normally a much better combatant. And unfortunately, it was losing the Moondragon that early when they had so much potential with all that kind of healing. But very well played to my opponent, really buffing up those Colossodon hunters and having them take down great value. They were really good unit. Very well played by him overall. So I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. If you did, please do consider leaving a like down below. It really helps out the channel. Feel free to subscribe, comment. I do have a Patreon, all that kind of standard good stuff all YouTubers say. And yeah, peace guys. See you next time.